Welcome back. Just a quick note before I continue that I will be open sourcing this whole project. So I actually have it on GitHub right now. You can access it by going to Just a Lever, which is my alias, to Endless Designs, which is the public repo on GitHub. And I'll be sharing links to this so you guys don't have to hunt and find it. But just wanted to mention that up front so you can access this and follow along. I'll have all the assets and stuff in there, and then you'll want to go ahead and use Yarn to install your node modules when you sync it down to your system too. So I could show you potentially how to do that after this whole series, just so you aren't in the dark on how to do that if you're not sure. Let me know, in the comments or something like that. So we left off last time working on this header section, and we were able to add an area here that essentially was a field that Alyssa can edit later to update that photo, and it's now a background image that we displayed inline. Let me log into the panel to show you. On the home page we have this custom field, I would call it, and this is being fed to our actual front end through panel or site, templates, and homepage right here. We created a div, I styled it, and the header itself is actually positioned absolutely. So that's how these things are basically displaying as layers on the front end. Let me keep that open like that. There you go. So essentially positioned absolutely. So it's over top of this. This is in the background. And I did a little bit of media querying so that it kind of decays when it gets down to the size. We'll optimize that a lot coming up, but for now it's working. So what I wanted to do is finish out this header in this video. Let me go ahead and open up our design file. I think we don't need to feed anything else. Well, we do need to feed this stuff through, so let me do that. Probably create another div that's like hero content. And possibly put that inside this. Yeah. So we want to do like an introduction, and then have our like subhead there. Let's name this hero heading. Okay. And we can query the site, or what is it, page, and we need to go into our YAML to figure out what we call that. Home, hero image, hero heading, or intro heading, and it's that function. And then we need to just do like we can just do HTML. It could be Kirby text, but that's just if you're, I think, rendering Markdown. Could be wrong there. So there we go. So we'll probably need to position this content relative to this. It's kind of a lot of positioning going on, but we'll get, I think, where we want it. Let's make sure that's outputting the right HTML itself. That's not right. Yeah. Okay. I hate that white space though, so I mean, no one probably sees that, but I do. So just notice it's coming out twice though. Oh, no wonder. So we need to do, I think it's called subheading. There we go. See how easy that is? That's what kind of sold me on this. It's like you can create that stuff just by typing, you know, a couple things here and then output it here and you're good to go. And then the person on the other end doesn't have to worry about anything. So win-win. Okay, that's for the sake of this screencast, I'll keep it in line because it's just easier to read on your screen, I hope. Okay, so we've got the basic content down. We probably want a call to action block. So class call CTA block. And I'm going to wrap these in their own div as well. A lot of divs. Hero. Content. Just do like hero text. And on our design, we have that big button. You can zoom in here. This big guy. And then a few other design elements. We have this one here I'm going to embed, I think, as a CSS background image and work with that. So let's first create this. The size it's going, well, it's a random size, 764 by 520. We'll start there. But for now, I'm going to output this actual call to action. And I'll give it a class of heroes CTA. Okay, and then in that, we want the link to be inside the href. So if we do this, in fact, in Kirby, you can omit this. I'm going to do that to clean it up. We do page. The link. And we'll close that. And inside the link, we will do page intro CTA text, I think. Same thing, HTML. Let's see how that looks. And then it should go to our about page. Awesome. So it looks rough, but we have the content displaying, and that's kind of what we're going for. So the hero content itself will be a contained element, as in our design. Going back to that real quick, it's just this whole block. So I think I could position this based off the containing element it's in. Let's tweak that in our style sheets. Get in our sass folder, go to pages, home, and I will put hero home. I don't need to put home. We'll just do like hero content since that's what it is. And I'm going to import that into the home file. So I'm wondering if I need to, this needs to be, make sure it's only on the home page. So maybe I'll add, it is only on the home page. So, okay. Just doesn't, that just seems like it's a global thing. So it's kind of confusing me. I'm wondering if I should be more specific with that selector, like hero home background or something. but I don't think I'll reuse this anywhere else, so I guess we'll approach it if that happens. Okay, so the hero content block, we'll give it a background of white, and I'm gonna throw my server up. There we go. Width of, what was it, 7, I don't know, 40. Height 520, 764. I had that wrong. So the background, since it's within the background, needs to be positioned relative to it. Yeah, there could be a better way to do this, I think, but since the background is a background image, I need it to kind of appear in a specific spot. So we're gonna kind of mess with this and see just how much from the top and left we need to go. 184, 5, and then 622. So that's obviously too much. I'm going to tweak this to go off the screen a little bit, I think. If I can do it right. Okay, so there's that. This is Y, so what am I doing? It needs to be 0. And then this needs to be like negative. Oh. Okay, that's matching our padding that we threw on our container fluid. So now this does something like so. It's kind of the effect we want. Still needs some work, but for now we can kind of roll with it. I did notice that our logo is gone, so I need to address that. So the z-index of this probably needs to be like 1. It's still gone. There we go. Okay, it's sort of the effect we're after. I think this might go over even more, just so we have a little more breathing room. And then on mobile we can do like just to bring it back if we want. Yeah. I didn't do a mobile design because I kind of plan to do that in the browser. Typically you probably want to do at least one concept in mobile just to have it fleshed out, but I kind of wanted to see how I can approach it on, live screen, live editing. So hopefully you guys are ready for that. let's go ahead and give this some more styling. So like 2 rem to start. That's not enough. And we'll have to bring the width and height back since it's... Actually, I might keep the container and add the padding to an interior element. So we'll add one more div, hero inner. And that's what we'll apply the padding to. There we go. That way, since this is like border box, it won't scale when you add padding to it. It's actually going inward instead of doing anything else. The heading itself, obviously the line heights aren't the right way. I could do that globally, but I think I'm gonna leave it as like the factory rendering for now, because usually they're decent, or the default I should say. So I'm gonna just apply that style to this specific element directly. And in sass, like you can nest up for days, but I like to keep it legible, so I typically go 2, maybe 3 levels deep max. If you're trying to select just a single thing, it's fine to go a little further than that, but I like to keep it succinct so it's just easier to read, for anyone else to jump on and understand what's going on. Same is true for classes. You notice how everything prefixes with like a hero kind of thing. Keeping that consistent is important just for scalability, but the site remains pretty small, so it's not a huge concern, but as you scale, that's something to pay attention to. And I thought about, even before jumping into the design side of things, taking this and creating a sort of a code style guide, but since this site is so small, I don't think it would be, I mean, it would be definitely beneficial, but I don't think it would be necessary, 100% necessary. But if you find yourself creating custom styles over and over and over that don't really match up, that's something you should probably make modules with, so you can just use classes and they're already reset. So basically similar to Bootstrap or something like that, but not as massive and ridiculous in size. So not that I haven't used Bootstrap, I honestly use it on my website, but because it just works. That's the beauty of it. But anyway, I could go on for days. Let's see, what size is this? So this is where designing in the browser kind of gets its name. Some people might balk at these random numbers, but you can calculate and do all this cool stuff in sass. But for me, it's like, okay, does it look right? So until it does, then I tweak things. I don't care about your variables and loops and stuff in sass, although they are cool. All right, so our CTA is next. I'm going to go ahead and add our background image to this though. So do background URL assets image, and where we got logo target overlay logo effect. There it is. can do even one more. We'll do bottom right. And that didn't work. Oh, it's because I used the selector. I'll do white. Looks like it's not loading right, so I think I have something wrong. Assets, images. Oh, okay. Oh. So we were in CSS. If we go up, oh, we don't need to go assets. There we go. That shouldn't be in color. Darn. All right, I need to fix that real quick. Okay, so I updated that image a bit. It looks a little, sadly, a little dark. I kind of want it lighter, so let me do that one more time. Okay, cool. So that was pretty easy. If you design it right, it should, you know, do what you want it to. I did notice our headings, I don't want to be bold. I'm sitting here looking at this giant heading and it's not what it should be. So I'm going to go back to typography, our base here. I'm going to pull this over here and font weight normal. There we go. It's a pretty massive size. Let's see how that looks even bigger. Let's see, hero heading, line height, font size, like smaller. That's pretty close. Yeah. Probably a little too big. And it needs to break after the comma. So we'll probably have a you know what I could do? It's kind of hacky, but if you go in here, there we go. That doesn't work in WordPress, so I like that. Line height's a little rough, so I'm going to go back up to 3. And we're using a light. Regular, it's regular. It just looks better. Okay. Padding, though, is a little much. Or is it margin? It's margin. Let's see what it looks like without. And we'll do width. Even less. Come on. There we go. Okay. And to get that line before heading, that aqua line, let me show you. If you're not this thing here, we need to add it like as a pseudo selector before the actual heading element. You can do that in this way in Sass. You do the ampersand sign, colon, and before. You do the same with after if you want. If you want something after, doesn't matter. One key thing to remember is to position the actual element to relative. Otherwise, this thing won't show up whatever you do. So typically you declare a content field. In this case, we're going to keep ours blank. And we're going to do a background of our brand color. And this will be This will have a width of, what did we give it? $50 by 4. So 50 pixels. Height 4 pixels. Position it absolutely. Top will be 0, left 0 for now. We'll see what happens. Okay, there it is. Cool. We can do a negative top of, I don't know, rim. Let's see what happens there. Probably a little more than that. I think that's about it. Yeah, there's considerably more padding on that, so I'm gonna go ahead and add it back. We'll probably add padding to this element, or specifically that, and then we could do for rim, and then so this is, it goes from top left, right, bottom left, so it's clockwise. Like so. We probably don't even want padding on the bottom, because if you look, our call to action is going to be way down there. We're going to have to position that like in a certain way though. So with that said, this probably needs to be relative to, okay, and then our hero CTA, I think that's what I called it, or the block. We'll position this absolutely bottom right 0. Okay, it needs to be relative to content, which is absolutely positioned. Okay, we might just have to kind of key this in. There we go, something like that. It's kind of hacky, but so once we get this styled, it'll certainly appear better. So let's, what was the link? Did we give it a class? Yeah, hero CTA. All right, background is brand primary. Color would be white. And I'm going to go through and make some button mix-ins, so we don't have to do this for everything, but this one in particular is huge, so that's a challenge, you know. So we're going to go and make this work. It's got a height of 70 pixels. Let's go ahead and copy that. Oh, it needs to display inline block. There we go. And then we can give it a set width or use padding. I think I'll use a width 352 or 3. And then we still do need padding, of course. Like one rim. So it'll probably come down on this. Okay. Might make this height considerably smaller. Yeah, and then this would be negative like 80. There we go. And then the same with, like we did the pseudo selector before, you can do the same with hover visited active focus elements on links. So this, for now, I'm just going to put like a darker shade of our brand color. Like 10% or something. And then since I included that mix in fact, I think I forgot to include that on our actual base file. So yeah, I'll just include transition, and then you can key in like what. So I'll just do all, I guess, just in case. And ease is default, but so now it's got a little slower fade effect to it. It's a little too slow. Okay. And I might use lighten instead. And only do like 5. There we go. Okay. And last but not least is, I think there's some shadowing on this guy. So let's do that to I guess. That is on the actual content. So we have X, Y, and like spread. Then you can do RGBA. I'll probably do black and point like 1. This is sass specific, so if you're trying to do this in regular CSS, you're gonna have to enter an actual well, actually no, it should work, but I think it calls for 3 parameters there, but I'm not 100% certain. I've done sass for so long now I don't remember. So we kind of want this subtle but big like shadow effect going on. Definitely keep this pretty light, because even if you've gone to like 0.2, it'd be like, whoa, yeah. There we go. One thing I just noticed is we don't have the arrow there either, so I don't think I exported it. But what I can do is grab my icons folder, because I know which one I used. This is a material icon, Google Material Design. I think it's Go or something. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this like straight into my editor, and we'll get this inline SVG. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in our actual HTML here. Get rid of these styles on it. So by default, it's giving us a width and height of 24. That's fine. We'll probably just use the arrow forward ID on it. But it's going to show up pretty massive here. So let's go ahead and grab that. And I don't really like using IDs, so I'm actually going to change that to a class. Arrow forward. And with SVGs, there's no like background color or color, it's fill. So in this case, I want it to be white, which is good. And we need to get the width and height in our design. Let's just round up to 38. And they kind of threw things off. So if we do display inline, I might do black for now just so we can see it. It's still doing that. So what's up? Oh, I need to actually, I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to remove that. And it needs to be on the SVG itself. That's why. There we go. So this too needs to be positioned. I could use a bunch of margin and padding, but I don't like to do that. I don't know why. Just kind of don't choose that route. So top is like a little more, a little less, a little less. This should work. Right. We do 0 and it, yeah, that's not going to work. We need to do left. There we go. So we get fancy and have that like animate as someone hovers over it. I'll probably do that later on. Right now we're just building out the foundational stuff, and we'll come back in with that icing and add that in the next bits of videos. So right now we've covered the home hero. Obviously it looks terrible on mobile, but we'll get to that. For now, I think I'm going to work from the desktop down and figure out this section. I noticed I missed the actual header styling too, so I think the next video I'll polish that up, and then we'll move on to the next bit too. So see you there.